Okay, here's a clever little media bias story. Have you heard of MS-13? MS-13 is a criminal gang that started in Los Angeles in the 1980s, and it spread to a lot of the Western Hemisphere, Canada, Mexico, down into Central America, maybe even Northern South America. And the members are mostly Central American. In fact, they're particularly from El Salvador. That's the background. In the wake of Donald Trump's decision to end DACA and presumably to open the door to start deporting people who came to the U.S. as the children of undocumented immigrants, Breitbart ran a story with some really scary looking people. And the headline was 2,139 DACA recipients convicted or accused of crimes against Americans. And you see the picture and you assume these people that we're looking at, these must be the DACA recipients that the article is talking about. The problem is the picture was not of DACA recipients. It was actually a picture from January of 2013 of MS-13 gang members, not in the United States with DACA benefits, but just people in El Salvador. This was outed. Breitbart was outed. Breitbart ultimately deleted the tweet about the story, and the picture of the story was replaced with one of some guy in handcuffs. So it's deceptive. It's disgusting. It's happened before, right-wing media using footage from somewhere in Europe, I believe it was, in a story about Hispanic immigrants pouring over the U.S.-Mexico border. I don't know if you remember that one. It was a year and a half or 2 years ago during the Trump campaign.
You know, every news agency is going to make a mistake from time to time, have to retract a story, or maybe they're using a picture that's just not appropriate for the story, doesn't represent it correctly.
Yeah.
I think they've gone far past that here because this was a hit piece to begin with, and it just makes it look like this is representative of all DACA recipients, which is clearly not the case.
Not only that, here's the really wacky part, and I'm glad you brought up the sort of the empirical realities. Let's go to the numbers. The article says 2,139 DACA recipients convicted or accused of crimes against Americans. The or accused is a key part, but I'll deal with that in a second. The numbers are, because there are 800,000 DACA recipients, that means 0.26% of DACA recipients have been convicted or accused of crimes. For comparison, 8.5% of all Americans aged 23 and under have been arrested and convicted of felonies. So not only that, 0.26% of DACA recipients were convicted or accused. And as we know in the United States, it's not that rare that someone is accused of something that they are ultimately not convicted of. And it actually makes perfect sense. I don't know why people don't get that if you have no legal status in the U.S., you're an undocumented immigrant, or if you're on DACA, if you're in a DACA situation and you have a potentially precarious legal status, which could be maybe overturned, you're not going to commit more crime than the average American. You're going to commit less crime because you don't want to draw attention to yourself because you're aware of your precarious legal status.
It's not as if you commit a serious crime that you shouldn't face repercussions for
No,
that.
of course
I mean,
not.
you can go to jail, you can go to prison, but you shouldn't be deported to a country that you've never known, especially if you come over here when you're just a few years old.
This is why media literacy is so key and critical thinking has never been more important. And interestingly, I'm teaching this journalism class, communication class on new media, talk media rather, at Boston College. The first two classes have all been about critical thinking, epistemology, and media literacy, so that before we even start getting into more nitty-gritty media stuff, we've got to be able to analyze these stories. Oh, wow, 2,139 DACA recipients have been convicted or accused of crimes. Well, out of how many? And how does that compare to the underlying crime rate in the United States? Without that information, the headline is worth nothing aside from the deceptive picture.
You're talking about a country of 300 million people. You're talking about 800,000 DACA recipients. If you just put the raw numbers in there, it's going to sound like a lot. Percentages sound a lot smaller.
Very, very different situation. Discuss this with us on our Reddit discussion forum, davidpakman.com/REDDIT. Back after this break. Today's sponsor is Tagadab, the hosting specialist. Whatever your hosting needs for your business or project, Tagadab can do it. Dedicated servers, virtual private servers, cloud server solutions, co-location, custom server solutions. And the big thing at Tagadab is their customer support. Over 70% of their business comes from repeat orders and recommendations from existing customers. This is a testament to the great support that they give their customers, currently rated a 9.7 out of 10, according to the Trustpilot review system. With a growing number of people interested in moving their businesses and projects to the cloud, Tagadab currently offers our viewers and listeners a 20 British pound free credit, about 24 US dollars, to all new customers that sign up. Gives you a chance to try the service. This is a limited availability offer for the viewers and listeners of the David Pakman Show. To take advantage, go to signup.tagadab.com/TDPS and use the offer code TDPS20 during account registration. Support our sponsors and support our show in doing so. Signup.tagadab.com/TDPS. Coupon code is TDPS20.